Hey,
How
hey,
you doing, girl?
I'm good. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. Today is Tuesday. It's feeling like Thursday, going on Friday. Let me stop. No, it's a good day. Feeling really good. So,
That's
are
good.
you excited about tonight's show?
I'm always excited. I'm always excited to spill the beans.
Yes, yes. So, welcome to another episode of Sis Let's Talk Live. This is episode 5. And I am your host, Taisha, and I would love to introduce you to my beautiful, sensational co host, April.
Hey, hey, everybody.
Hey. So, look, tonight we're hitting the topic that, has been whispered in the DMs and the group chat, but tonight we're saying it out loud, girl. So, we're telling people about saying it now versus after I do. I don't know about you, but I've been married before, and there's things I wish I would have known and asked prior to. So, we're talking about real topics.
Hey,
Yeah, real topics, money, children, emotional needs, submission. Nope, we're not talking about submission anymore. We decided not to have that conversation. But
mm,
blended families. So the goal tonight is to give you clarity, confidence, and courage to ask the hard questions before the commitment. So let's get into it. Tonight is just you and I again because I think we do well together, don't you think?
we do. But I miss the ladies.
I know.
So if you are interested in being a guest host, please send us a message or send us an email, most preferably email to
Mhm,
sisletstalklive@gmail.com.
mhm.
And make sure you like, share, and subscribe on all platforms. That means Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So, yeah. Announcements all
Yes,
together.
we got some
We have
announcements.
Ty. We got a lot of this coming up.
Listen, this summer is
Miss
is
you
is
guys.
ooh wee. It's filled. It's filled. But it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, so we will be doing river tubing again this July. We have Busch Gardens coming up in a week or two,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a beach day.
Yep.
Um, girls trips. It's just we got it all. So for all my black women making friends baddies, yes, make sure you check your chats and come on out.
Yes.
Solo, it don't matter. Solo dolo or bring a companion in the group, it don't matter. Just bring yourself. Bring yourself.
Yes. Bring the energy. Come out and have a good old time.
Absolutely.
All right. So tonight's icebreaker is: would you stay if? Would you stay
Mm.
if? Right? So I think that's a really, really good one. So the first one is, as far as the topic is concerned, is the non-negotiables. So let's talk about that, April.
The non-negotiables. Okay. Well, let me just start off with the first question I got for you, Ty. Okay.
Okay, all right.
So, have you ever dated someone whose spiritual beliefs completely clash with yours? And if so, how did it impact the relationship?
Ooh, you know what? I dated a gentleman once that did not believe in a higher power. Um, yeah, that was kind of tough for me because I grew up in a Christian home. But then, as I got older, I didn't go to church every single day, but I definitely believed in a higher power. I believe in the spirit. And with this gentleman, he could not stand when I would pray over my food. I could just be driving and it'll just come to me. I thank God for just giving me traveling mercy because I've traveled many, many places. So I always thank God for traveling mercy. And that's the one thing he could not stand it. And I did not know this though until we were about a good 4 months into the relationship that he did
Hmm.
not believe in a higher power. That was difficult for me. I couldn't continue that relationship because I feel like I
Okay.
rolled when it came to religion or spiritual, however you want to word it. It just was not. It was we were not going in the right direction. So no.
Okay.
What about you?
Okay.
You ever
I
experienced anything
understand.
like that before?
Girl. When you do it like that, it's like,
It's
whew.
serious. It's serious. It's serious. So what was your experience?
So have I dated someone whose spiritual beliefs completely clashed from mine?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Okay, I
Okay.
am someone who believes in God wholeheartedly. I talk every day.
Mm.
That's just my whole vibe. I'm more spiritual. I'm not religious, but
Mhm.
I believe in
Mhm.
it all. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And when I was engaged, of course, I'm like, hey, we need to go to counseling.
Mm.
And it was at some point where I think we were just sitting in bed one day and it just made sense, right? And
Okay.
he was just like, I don't I I don't believe in God. I don't know who I believe in. And I was like, explains a lot because
Mm. Mhm.
his whole attitude, his demeanor, how he handled life and things,
Mhm.
it was already clashing. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, I think that we anyone who's getting married that they should go to premarital counseling.
Right.
But at
Very
that
important.
time, I kind of like, oh, like, hey, I don't know, it's some questionable things. Maybe we should go. So when that came out, and
Mhm.
I was kind of a little shocked. And it was crazy because it was around the time where we were talking about our wedding. And
So
he was
wait. So
talking about,
when he never said anything like leading up to that time that the whole time y'all were together, nothing gave you like a incline. Really? Wow.
I don't even think I looked for it, honestly.
I get that.
And then I was young, and
I
as
get
some
that.
a part of me may have just assumed, and I think
Mhm.
that's what a lot of us do. We assume,
Right.
and instead
Right.
of asking questions. So asking questions, that's the whole point of us having this live, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
asking questions is important. And I think the only reason why the beliefs came up is because at what he wanted to do at the wedding versus what I would have done was
Mm.
completely different.
Mhm.
So I'm more of a low key, but he wanted to sacrifice goats and go to camels, and I was like, what?
Wait, what?
I'm like, hold up. It was so crazy. I know. It's like you need to hear more, right? So
Yeah.
so so he was just like, yeah, I think that we should, act as if we were, like, we grew up together. So we put our baby pictures together and sacrifice a goat. I'm like,
Where
what?
the goat
And
come
come in on a
from?
camel. I'm like, where the fuck we gonna follow
Not coming on a camel. Okay. And where was he from?
DC? It's funny now, but then I was scared. I was like, wow.
He must have been watching too many television shows because, like, you from DC, would you would like make it make sense?
See, it wasn't till after the fact. First of all, it didn't even hit me. You want to do what? You want to sacrifice a goat? What? Yeah. Now we ain't on the same page, bro. But honestly, before that, we weren't on the same page, so it made a lot of sense. So,
Right.
how did it impact the relationship? We
Mm.
ain't together.
Yeah.
I mean, that ain't the only
Right. I mean,
reason, but I think that some people, if you can respect
right.
your significant other's beliefs, it doesn't really have to clash. It's not like you have to believe in the same thing your
Exactly what
partner
they
believes
believe.
in, but you
Right.
have to have respect.
Right. I
you
think
know
that would be so hard for me. Like I said, with my situation, it was, whenever I would pray or whenever I had a feeling that I would just, stop in prayer, and he found it offensive. He didn't like it. He, had an issue with it. And I'm like, religion wasn't a conversation when we first met, because it was just never a thought for me to ask someone what's your religion, you know what I mean? But what is that? Atheists, right? Atheists, I think, when they don't believe in a higher power. I didn't ask him, you know whether he was atheist or not, but I don't know, it was just something about that connection. Like, we really connected, but we didn't connect spiritually.
okay,
That was the thing, we didn't
but
connect
that's
spiritually.
important.
Very important. I didn't realize how important that was until that came up. You know what I mean?
It's like, oh, my prayers
So
aggravate your demons.
yeah, like that's kind of scary when you think about it, though. Like, it's really scary. But yeah, I hope he found someone that meets him where he is, because I definitely was not her. I
Right,
definitely
right.
remember. So look, we listen, girl. Let's talk about finances. So, financial conversation, should it be before you move in or when you marry? So, what financial combo do you think every couple should have before they move in or marry? What you think?
Well, if they're moving in, you have to discuss finances because who paying for what, who's doing what. Everybody's situation is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, doesn't have some people believe in the 50-50 split. Some people don't,
Right.
it's the times have changed. Some people are more traditional,
Mine's
others
are
are
really
are
small.
not. So
Yeah.
I think it really depends on, but either way, discussing the finances of what you're contributing and what you are doing when you move in is very important. Now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
marriage is a
Mm.
total different subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you talk about marriage, you're talking about combining
Yes.
what's yours and what's
Yes.
mine.
Yes. Your
And
debt is my
I'm not
debt.
gonna lie to you. The first thing I think of is prenup. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what you have, and right now in this moment, put some clauses in there
Yeah.
that protects you and your spouse. It's not about, you know, oh, they want me for my stuff. No, it's about you, especially as a woman, you need
Mm-hmm.
to protect what you bring to the table and what your value too. Now, sometimes that doesn't work for all, but I think that it's important for both parties, the
Mm-hmm.
male and female, or female, whoever, both partners should be protecting their assets.
I agree. I
It's
agree.
very important.
I agree. I think too that a lot of people think when you use the word prenup, it sounds like a harsh reality. Like, how dare you, predict that we're not gonna make it? And it's like, no, that's not what that is. It's just really, like you said, it's a protection for both parties. It doesn't mean that we're not going to make it, but just in case, this is what it is. I know for me, the whole 50-50 conversation and stuff like that, I stay out of those conversations, but I do now at this stage, I do ask the question. So when it comes to, if we were to make it this far and it comes to moving in, what is your what is your ideal situation when you move in with somebody? Um for me in the past, what worked for me was I've been in relationships where we combined our check, right? So we had a joint account and then we had two separate accounts. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll put
Are you talking
money
about for
in.
marriage or are you just talking moving in?
Move in, move
Okay.
in, and we move in because I discussed all of that stuff prior to, and think about it too. There's some people that sometimes the man makes more, sometimes the woman makes more. So depending on the relationship and where you are with it. But for me, it worked for me where we have a joint account and we have our separate accounts. So the joint account is for all the bills because you got to think, oh, we combining both bills. And if you have way more bills than me or I have way more bills than you, we're kind of splitting it down the middle if you think about it. But your check go in, my check go in, we pay the bills, and then we have our separate allowance. And it worked. It worked. It worked perfectly. Um, we're not together anymore, but it worked perfectly.
That's good.
So
So that's something that you would take into your next relationship.
absolutely, absolutely. If my partner is okay with that, like I would definitely have a conversation. In the beginning stages, I have these conversations. If I see that there's potential and we're thinking about moving into the next phase of this connection, yes, finances is very important to me. We need to have those talks because I will never go in debt.
Absolutely. And I just want to say one thing about prenups because, like I said, it is a harsh thing for women, a pill to swallow. But think about it this way: women in this century, right now, in this day and age, that
Hmm.
we single women,
Hmm.
we have the highest home ownership rate. We have we have assets, we got our
Yeah,
stocks and everything
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And think about it this way: say you bought your home before you get married, and then after you get married, you're like, you know what, I don't want no prenup. And then your person, like, I want your house, I want to have your stuff. How would you feel? It's
People,
like,
I
girl,
mean, people are going through this every single day, like these
yeah.
celebrities
So
and whatnot. Mm-mm.
or half of your stocks and bonds, or half of
Right.
your savings.
Right.
I think those things are sacred, that you, or even if you're up and coming,
Right.
if you say, like,
Right.
I don't have any of that yet, it's
Right.
okay. Put a
Right.
clause in there
Right.
about whatever assets that you create as far as business and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
that is
Mm-hmm.
yours. That doesn't mean that you don't create together. That don't mean
Right.
that you can't thrive together. It means that you're just making sure that you're protected when, if anything goes left, okay?
Right.
Because
Right.
we could be in love, and some marriages could last 100 years, but some could last,
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks. It has happened. We've
I
seen
don't
it.
believe in being blind while in love.
Exactly. So even while you blind in love, be smart and protect yourself with a prenup.
Yeah, definitely not trying to be blind.
Right.
No, I just think, that, like you said, it's just very important to have those conversations prior to, and even in the beginning stages of your dating, just to see where this person is head is at, because you don't want to go a year, 2 years, you decide to move in, and that person is not exactly who you thought they was when it comes to finances. Because there's some people who are not financially literate. They're not financially literate.
You want to make sure that you're finding someone who's financially illiterate through and through,
Exactly. You
because
know what I mean?
they can make as much as you like. A lot of, I'm not going to say it, not every woman, because I'm not like
Hmm.
that. I'm not moved by money, but
Hmm.
some women nowadays, like, oh, he makes 6 figures or more, like he
And this
makes
means
7 figures.
nothing.
Well,
It means
if it's that,
nothing.
and that's another thing for a prenup. What if your person has so much debt? You put a clause in there. This I'm not responsible for that debt, because
Yeah.
once you do this clink clink, that debt is now your debt.
Yours,
Yeah,
exactly.
see, it's starting to click now.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's starting to
Because
click. So
the house that you probably want to get now, you can't. I had a situation where, once again, like I said, I didn't have that financial conversation, and we were moving in together. I did ask him, "Do you have any debt?" And he said, "No." What I should have done was tell him to pull his report, but he told me no. And we went to go get an apartment, and I'm on vacation. I get a phone call from the own, not the apartment. It was actually a townhouse. I get a phone call from the owner that a ping came back with his credit report that he owed like $6,000 to $7,000 from a previous apartment that he had. So what I had to do was I had to put everything in my name. So it almost put us in a situation where we wasn't going to get the place had my credit not been good. So I promised myself that I will never put myself in that situation again. So I want you better run that credit report. I want to see it.
things that we should be discussing and we need to talk
Yeah.
about. It's the hard stuff, right? We got to get
Hmm.
past the hard stuff in order to get to the fun.
Right.
But you did mention, as far as dating, so I would ask the question: would you marry someone who doesn't want kids? If you do, we never too
Um,
old, we never too young, you know.
yeah. That question pops up a lot now for me, and on the dating scene. I don't want children anymore. At one
Okay.
point, I did in life, but I do not want children anymore. But if I met someone and they wanted children, what I would put on the table is I'm okay for adoption if you're open to it. But if you're not, then it's not going to work. Um, but I mean, it. I don't know. I think where I am in life, I'm so comfortable with moving as I please, doing things when I want to do it. You know what I mean? If I don't feel like it, I don't have to. I don't have to come home to children.
Whoa, so spoiled.
I don't have to come home to that. Like, if I don't feel like cooking, I'm not gonna cook. Um, but yeah, I'm in a place where I really don't have a desire. Could I marry somebody that said, "You no, I want to physically have my child"? Then nah, I couldn't marry you. I couldn't marry.
I
So
get
that's a question that I asked in the beginning though too. Do you want children? Because if you want me to physically have your children, I can't do it. And yeah, I've been blocked a few times.
I
For real, I've been blocked. Yep. I'm like, damn. You
Hey,
didn't even say
you
bye.
win some, you lose some.
You didn't
You
even say
live.
bye though.
You live to fight another day. Because there's
He
nothing we
didn't
can do
say he
there.
didn't say okay, nothing, just block. But it's all good
Happens to the
though.
best of
Yeah,
us, you know.
yeah. I'd rather
But at
not
least you
waste
know
waste
now.
anyone's time. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I agree. What about you? I know you got a little one already, but what about you though?
Um, that should say everything right there. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. Tell us in the comments.
Yeah,
Would you marry
right.
someone who doesn't want kids if you do? Now, I am more. I'm more where you told. Like, I love traveling. I love doing stuff. My daughter's at that age where I don't have to, like bend over to hold her hand and pick her up
Right.
and all that other stuff. She
Right.
can move freely. Will I have another child? I'm not planning for another child now, but
Okay. Okay.
things happen. I'm a little neutral on it.
Okay.
Only because I wanted I always wanted a boy. I wanted to be a boy mom, but I ain't pressed for it.
If it happens,
It's
it
like I
happens.
could leave it behind,
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
if it's meant in the cards for me, then I'll be open to it.
But I
But I
mean,
am not actively doing anything to support to have another child at all.
but let's just say you meet him and he checked these imaginary boxes, like he's that guy for you, and he wants a baby. He wants a baby, and would you give him what he wants? He's look. He's treating you like the queen that you are.
It's still gonna
Okay.
sit me down.
Yes. But he doesn't have his own children. And he loves your daughter, but he wants to have a kid with you.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay. Okay.
I'll do it if we're married. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Mhm.
If we're married and like give me at least a year after marriage,
Give him a little
you
bit more
know,
travel
let's get
in
some
and
fun time.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I got you. I got you.
I will
I
be
got
open to it.
you.
I would be. I'll be mad. Listen, It'll be. I hope I'm gonna give off blue and boy vibes, but
You're
that's
gonna
gonna
have another
stress me
you're
out,
gonna have
girl.
another girl. You're gonna turn around and have another girl.
I rebuke that. I'm swiping that away. Mm-mm.
Okay, I got
Mm-mm.
one for you. Let's talk about the future. Can a relationship survive without shared vision, even if there's love? What do you think?
I don't think that. I think that it depends on what the survival is, because people survive off toxic relationships, and
Mm,
and toxicity doesn't necessarily have to be someone causing a form of harm to you. You can
true.
be causing harm to yourself by staying in something that
True.
is not benefiting you because of another person.
Very true.
So can a relationship survive without a shared vision? I'm going to say no, if you wanted a healthy thriving relationship, because if you both
Right.
don't have a vision, how can you plan for the future? Like, how can you, as long as, even if you both, like, all right, you doing your thing and they're doing their thing, at some point it's like, okay, well, we're doing this together, this is how we want to grow, this is what we want to do, and this, you have to have a plan of action in order to grow and thrive. If you don't have a vision, a goal, or whatever the case is, then I don't see success, coming out of it.
So I'm gonna play
But how
devil's
about you?
advocate a little bit. I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit.
Play
Okay.
devil's advocate. I like that. I like
Okay.
that.
So in the social media world, you have everyone that want the soft life, and I want him to make over $200,000, and I want him to, take me around the world. So
Don't
I
forget the yacht.
and the yacht. I can see those that don't really care about the vision. Their vision looks a little different. Their vision is, once again, what they consider soft life, not having to do anything. I can
That's a
see,
vision. That's
well,
a shared vision and goal.
yeah,
It's like, hey,
I think
babe,
that's a vision for them. I think that's a vision for them.
that's
That might
something to
not be
talk
the vision.
about.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead. What is that?
That's something to talk about with your partner,
Oh
because
yeah,
that's a shared vision.
But think about
Like,
this.
hey, I ain't working, but I'm going to clean and I'm going to cook and I'm going to do what I need to do. But you are going to handle this and you're going to do this. That's teamwork. That's a shared vision.
It should
Now,
be
if
teamwork.
that month, like, I don't know, nah, then at least you discussed it
It should
and
be
you know
teamwork.
beforehand.
but
See?
I do wholeheartedly agree that if you're looking for a healthy situation, two people have to be on the same sheet of music. Like we have to be walking the same path to reach the same goal. So I don't think that like if you are if I'm in this lane and you're in that lane and we not meeting in the middle, there's no way that we can share this vision and be successful in any relationship. That's even in friendships. You know what I mean? But we're talking
Absolutely.
about marriage. But I'm just saying you cannot be successful unless you two people are thinking exactly not exactly the same, but they're thinking along the same
On the
lines.
same page. You
Yeah,
know,
there you go. Yeah, yeah,
on
I
the
agree
same
with you.
page. So that brings us into our sis share your story. And
Mm.
luckily, you are sharing your story first, sis. So, what conversation did you avoid in the past, like in your past relationships, that end up costing you your peace, time, and your sense of self? We us women, we know when that look. It's like
I've
we know it's
avoided
heavy.
a I've avoided a lot of conversations. But then I'm gonna chalk it up to me being young, and not really knowing what a relationship really looks like. You know what I mean? I can't say that there's always been a greatest example, but I think I sacrificed my peace a lot. I didn't like to argue. I don't like still don't like to argue, but I will definitely get my point across. But I didn't like to argue. So I would really put myself in a shell and just let you have your way. Whatever you said, okay, fine. That's what I said. Okay, all right. I'll just take it on the chin, just so there will be peace in the household. But
Mm-hmm.
at this stage in life, I'm very vocal. I'm way more vocal, but in a loving, compassionate way. You know what I mean? Because I want my partner to feel safe, right?
Right.
But I'm very vocal. I'm very articulate. I try to articulate my emotions so where you really understand exactly what I'm saying. There's no ifs, ands, or buts or confusion on what I'm trying to convey. But yeah, I have to chalk it up to me being young and really just not knowing um, how to stand up for myself because I never really had to do that when I was a kid. I never really had to stand up for myself like that. But in a relationship dealing with a man, so I don't like for men to talk at me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially when you tall and you tower over me, I have an
Right.
issue with
Which is
that. So
everybody.
yes. So once again, I will clam in my shell.
Okay.
But today, I'm like 6'2". You know what I mean?
Hey.
You gotta see, like, look, no, but don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna be like, yo, no, I'm not gonna be like that. But I'm definitely going to express myself to you on how you made me feel. So to answer your question, I would just say that I would clam up. I would clam up to avoid confrontation. So,
Okay.
but I believe in fair arguments. There's a such thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a such
I
thing.
feel you on that.
We both got the same look.
Oh, you guys, look, drop it in the comments, you guys. What conversation did you avoid in the past
Mm,
that ended up costing your peace, time, and sense of self? For
mm,
myself,
mm,
was not asking any questions,
mm.
going with the flow.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Don't do that. Don't do
yeah,
that. That's going to end up in confusion.
yeah,
It's going to
yeah,
end up in just lack of
yeah.
overall. You know, when I
Wow.
was younger, and I don't get into many relationships, but it was more so I didn't really care for relationships.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. And
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, I'm being pursued heavy. And I'm like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going with the flow of things. But that cost me my peace,
Yeah.
my time, and my sense of self so
Wow.
much.
Wow.
And I was able to heal from it. That's how much it cost. So please make sure that all the hard questions out the way, even when
Yeah.
dating, like those,
Yeah.
like it's maybe easier when you're dating to ask those hard questions
Mhm.
because y'all don't have that type of connection. You're
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
you're not intertwined yet.
Mhm.
Maybe
Mhm. Mhm.
you're not
Well, hopefully,
intertwined yet.
hopefully not, because that
Hopefully
confuses
not,
things.
right?
That confuses things. But go
So
ahead.
you're not being intertwined with each other. That's less emotional, connection. So
Right.
you're
Right.
able to walk away with no issues. So
Right.
I think that it is very, very important to ask the important question, the hard questions, get it out the way so you can
Mhm.
thrive and have fun later. And
Mhm.
then pay attention to their actions because that's what matters too. Because
Right.
like how Ty stated, he ain't got bad credit, but come to find out, he almost 100K in debt. It's like, whoa,
Listen.
so
Listen.
just make sure you ask the questions and pay attention.
Right. And don't be
It's really, very
afraid to
important.
ask those questions. Another thing that I was just thinking about, another thing that I think that some people tend to not ask is, before I'm intimate with anyone, I need to see your records.
Mm,
I exchange records. I think that is very, very, very important before you become intimate with anyone
right.
to make sure. And also, we going down there to get tested together,
Especially in this
girl,
area and
girl,
era. Okay.
girl.
Because it's
Like,
a lot of people just free balling and moving
mm-hmm,
on to the next, and that
mm-hmm.
can't be good for our patients.
No,
It's
passing on
not
all
good
them
at all.
diseases
So
to people. Mm-mm,
I,
not at
I, I
all.
wholeheartedly agree with that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly agree.
No, that was whew, that just hit a nerve. That just hit a nerve. It made me think about it. But look, the next segment we got is Girl Help Me Out. So we have an anonymous person that reached out
Mm,
to us. Oh, she is spicy. She said, so boom. So boom. I've been with this man for a year. We're vibing, things are getting serious, and now we're talking about future plans. Out of nowhere, just so we're clear, I don't believe in joint bank accounts or making
mm,
decisions together. I'm the head of the household and the woman follows my lead. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh like that, but the woman follows my lead. That's just how I was raised. Now I'm sitting here blinking with confusion. I'm not trying to be nobody's silent partner in my own life. He's not a bad man. He treats me well. He provides. He's respectful. But something about this screams control in a suit. I keep asking myself, is it a cultural thing? So I'm wondering if this gentleman is from a different country. Okay, is it a cultural thing? I should try to understand, or preview of me losing myself in the name of submission. Am I overreacting, or is this a sign to run before I end up married but muted? So she said it's a
see,
cultural thing. I'm wondering if, okay, I'm assuming that he must be from another country. I'm assuming.
to be truthfully honest, it don't matter if you from another country, baby. Just run. Follow and always trust your intuition. If you're
Yeah,
getting a bad vibe,
yeah,
and especially from someone you love, like
yeah,
hear me out. If it's
right.
someone that you truly love and you're getting a bad vibe, it's time for you to really take heed to that. Especially before marriage. It's like, hey, we're here, we're talking about it. I love this person, but whoa,
Right,
hey,
right,
do I really
right.
follow your gut?
I wonder how
Follow your
long they
gut.
were dating, because today, people, not even just today, but people get married very quickly. And not to say that they're not in love or it won't last, but I wonder how long that relationship was before they decided to get married. And then also, did she ask any questions? like in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
dating phase.
yeah. So if you're asking, is this a cultural thing? That's something that you should be asking your partner too. You know,
Right,
like, hey,
right,
you should
right,
know.
right,
You know, as far as is it a cultural thing? Because
right,
if you getting to know your partner, you should know, you know, a little bit about them and their culture, especially if you're talking about those types of things.
right.
Because the first thing I'm going to ask is, hey, so well, I'm not. That's not my style. Like, how? Why do you feel that way? You know, I'm going to ask
Right,
questions.
right.
So honestly, I'm still going to say go with your first gut and run. But before you hit that threshold, make sure you ask the proper questions. But if you're already getting those vibes,
Mm.
I would say, yeah, take that as a confirmation. That's what do you guys think in the comments? Make sure you let us
Yeah,
know.
let us
Help
know.
our good sis out. And Ty, what do you think?
You know what? I would definitely run for the hills with my heels on. It does feel a little controlling. It does feel a little controlling. I wish that she would have gave us just a little bit more information as far as like how long they were dating and so forth, and find out if she ever asked him any questions in the beginning. But yeah, whether it's cultural or not, yeah, I would definitely not stay. I couldn't do it. I don't want to feel trapped. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel trapped. I am a big ball of energy, and when it comes to the household, it, people. I think people have these. Well, the woman should do this, and the man should do this. I work a job. I work
Right.
9 to 10 hours a day. When I come home, I don't always feel like cooking. When I come home, I don't always feel like, you know what I mean? So it need the relationship in the household need to be balanced, and that doesn't sound like it will be a balanced relationship to me.
Yeah. I
No.
mean, when it comes to that, I think people are going to have different perspectives on it, but
Yeah.
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm someone who cooks often, like at
Mhm.
least 4 or 5 times a week.
Mhm.
But ain't nobody trying to do that every single day because we get exhausted, we get burnt out, and we are working. So I
Yeah.
definitely understand that. So that brings me to the question: like, are women asking too much, or finally asking what they deserve? And
Mm.
I'm going to ask, what is it in what is it that women's asking too much about? Like, I think that's my question to that question.
Yeah.
What are women asking? I don't think that we ask for too much. Well, it depends on the woman. I ain't gonna lie to you. But
True, but
what's too much?
I don't think I asked for too much.
You said you think you
Um,
do?
I don't. I don't think that I
Okay.
asked for too much because so this whole table and stuff that people, what you bring to the table, I don't really like to have that conversation. What I say is, how can you add to me? How can you add
That's
to what I
good.
already have? Because I've built my own. I don't even know if I want to call it an empire, but I've done a lot on my own for years. You know what I mean? And I've created a lifestyle for myself that is very comfortable. So what can you do to add to what I've already created, and vice versa? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Vice versa. So I don't feel like I ask for too much. I just ask for you to be respectful. Ask for you to be courteous. I ask for you to talk nice to me, okay? Because you talk nice to me, I'll talk nice to you. And be my partner. I want you to be my partner. I want you to be my friend. I got my girlfriends. I love y'all and everything, but I want to be able to go to my man and have a good conversation with my man about, whatever it is that I'm feeling. So I don't think that I ask for much. I mean, anything that I ask from someone, I can give that to them as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't ask you to take me to no 5-star restaurant, even though I love me a good 5-star. But I don't
What's
ask.
your favorite restaurant?
Oh my God, there's so many. I'm greedy. Um, I'm greedy. There's so many. But I can right off the top of my head, there is it's called Tuscan Prime in Annapolis. So
I think
good.
I've heard
What
of
the
that. I
girl
think I've been there.
Oh, it's so good. The ambiance is amazing. The drinks are amazing. So it's a really good place. So like I said, if I could take myself to a 5-star restaurant, then I could take you to a 5-star restaurant. You know what I mean? I believe
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
doing unto others as you want done to yourself, and that's in my relationship. So yeah. So what about yourself?
I don't think I ask too much for at all. I'm
Okay.
someone who's more like I like the road trips, adventurous. Like you take me outside, and I'm not a dog, but you know how like the dog be in the damn window. Like, oh my
You
god,
ready to go?
we're going to the park. It's like, oh my god.
Get excited.
So I don't think that I'm easy. I'm hard to get along with or
Right.
hard to please. It's like give me my essentials. I love
Right.
traveling. Time to time,
Right.
and even restaurants. I don't care.
Right. Right.
It don't matter.
Look.
It's especially if we vibing, we hanging, and
Yeah.
we're connecting. I
Yeah.
do ask though, like I believe it says I think these are the essentials, like the communication, like the act of communication. That means telling the truth at all times. I don't care if it hurts feelings. That's one thing
I
that I
agree.
would say in a relationship that
I agree.
I really cherish. Like I don't care what happens, you come to me and you tell me. I don't like no matter what it is, because I 9 times out of 10 I'm going to respect you more,
Right.
and we gonna get through it because you told me, like you confided
Right.
in me. Maybe
Right.
now, if it's crazy, I don't know, but most,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
nine
Right.
times out of
I
10,
prefer
we
honesty.
fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That trust is very important with me, and loyalty is very, very, very important to me in any relationship. I don't care if it's friendship. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
like having those two main components. If you can't do that, then I don't know how you're gonna survive in this world. But at the same time, I don't think that's too much. I feel like that's the bare minimum
That
in a
is the bare
sense.
minimum.
You
Yeah. That
know,
is the bare
like
minimum.
to
Exactly.
be truthfully honest, even though we consider it as the bare minimum, it's hard for a lot of people that they can't even be
Yeah.
honest with themselves. So it's
Right.
really important to make sure that you're on the same page, the same road, you're heading to the same damn house. Okay, because he
Yeah.
your partner might be like, I don't like sharing stuff. I don't
Right.
like doing that. And you're like,
Right.
ooh,
Right. Sharing is
well,
not
is
caring.
this right? Like, what? I had a hard childhood and I don't share nothing. I keep things to myself. It's like,
Yeah. That's not gonna
it's
work for
nothing
me.
wrong with it.
It's
Therapy,
not. That's
maybe,
not gonna
but
work for me.
no, exactly. So I feel like it's the bare minimum, but at the same time, it's hard for so many people. So
Yeah.
is it a luxury? That's a good question. Is that
Mm.
a luxury nowadays?
I think
What you
it
think? What you
is.
guys think in the comments? Let us know.
Yeah, I like that's a really good question. I think it is a luxury. I think it is a luxury
Hmm.
because, like you said, that so when you have people who have so much trauma from life and then also relationships that sometimes it's difficult for them to trust. You know what I mean? But I've seen out here where you have people jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. They're not taking that time, that quality time to themselves to work on all those things that will come natural, that should come natural. You know what I mean? So I think at this point, when it comes to the small things, it is a luxury. Just opening the door for somebody is a luxury these days.
Absolutely. So I would say a word of advice, because we're going to wrap this up soon. But a
Hmm.
word of advice is to, if you are unsure about your relationship, or if you're engaged, or even dating, because that's the next step, right? I
Hmm.
think it's important, even in it or before you get in it, it's important to write down the characteristics and traits that you desire within a partner. I'm not talking about superficial.
Right.
We're not
Right.
doing superficial.
Let's be
The
honest.
characteristics are what matters the most. Um, and to also like sit with yourself and ask the questions: what do I want in a relationship? What do I need out of a relationship? Because that's important as well. And as
Mm.
you write that down, when you start dating or even talking to your partner, like it's never too late. Don't think because you're in a relationship right now that it's too late to ask those questions. No, I
Right.
think it's the best time to
Right.
ask.
There's no time like the
So
present.
exactly. So you ask those questions, and see how you feel. See how, if things like, oh, this is great, or let me push back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because we have to ask ourselves these questions before we ask them the hard questions. And also, as we're writing these questions, is there anything that I could change, that I need to change about myself? Because someone can say, like me, oh, I admire the full truth, the
Right.
and active
Right.
communication altogether, but I have problem emotionally communicating. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can't even say I love you, probably, or you
Mm-hmm.
can't say certain things. You're scared. So
Right.
it's important, like, okay, I want this, so let me see how I can, you know, not resolve this issue within myself, on how I
Mm-hmm.
can become more of a emotional communicator,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm attracting the same thing that I'm asking for.
Right. I think with me, two things, two questions I've asked myself is, first of all, will I date myself? You
Mm.
know what I mean? And if
What
I'm in
what
a
did you what did you come up with?
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a whole cat.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is, if I'm in a relationship, I ask my partner, is this something that I was doing in the beginning that you really enjoyed, that I've fallen off of, no longer doing. You know what I mean? Just to kind of keep the relationship afloat, because sometimes we kind of lose ourselves. We got life, we got work, and so forth. So we lose ourselves. So I try to make sure that I'm actively involved in my relationships and actively listening, as you stated earlier. So, but yeah, I think it's really important to write those things down and stay in tune. Stay in tune with you and stay in tune with your relationship. So,
I love that.
yeah, 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 yeah. So this was really good. I really enjoyed this topic. But if you have not done so already, we need you to follow us on all platforms. We are on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. And if you want to be a host of the show, as April said earlier, please send us a message at sisletstalklive@gmail.com. And we look forward to seeing you for episode 6. Girl, we hit episode 5. You hear me?
Look, we getting up there, you
We've
guys.
been doing
Look,
good,
we
but
almost ready to go live on Facebook.
I know, right? A few more weeks, you go live on Facebook. But thank you for tuning in. And April, it's always good seeing my
Days.
good host. It's always good seeing you. You all have the most wonderful night, and have a safe 4th of July. Have a safe 4th of July, and we'll
Bye,
see you in
guys.
2 weeks, same time, same channel.